So one thing about me and why I want to be a PA is because I want to help aid underserved communities, specifically communities of color, vulnerable communities such as socioeconomic and generally isolated geographical areas.
Tell me something about yourself and why you want to be a PA.
So I'll give you a little bit of background on myself. I grew up in a small town outside of the DFW area in Texas, and my childhood, I didn't have the greatest accessibility to healthcare. Since I grew up in such a small town and area outside of the DFW area, there was only one pediatrician in my town, and with only one of her and many sick kids, there just wasn't a great accessibility to healthcare. Another reason why I want to be a PA is because of the lateral mobility aspect of the profession. I like that we are trained in PA school as generalists, so we have a fundamental knowledge about different specialties, and I think that's really important, not only as us providers because it allows flexibility in our schedule and what we can do, but it's also important to our patients because we get to treat across their lifespan. So we have a general knowledge of what they may go through during different stages of their life. Another thing kind of following that is I want to bridge the gap between medical providers and patients. PAs are generally allowed more time with their patients than physicians. Physicians are in the OR, they're rounding, they're doing procedures, they have a lot on their plate, and I love that PAs get a lot more time to listen to what their patients may be going through, hearing their concerns that they have. One thing about me that I love is whenever I tell patients that I'm applying to PA school and that's what I want to pursue, they usually tell me of a great story they have of an encounter with a PA that they've had, and usually what is always said is that their PA listened to them and took the time to really understand what's going on. So those are just a few reasons why I wanted to pursue this profession.
And then you mentioned growing up in a small community with just one pediatrician, very limited access to healthcare. And I noticed through your application that you grew up in a small town, less than 10,000.
Yes.
Less than 10,000 population. And let's see, you said that I grew up in a rural area surrounded by cows and open fields of land.
Yes, we recently, I want to say maybe 10 years ago, got our first Walmart. And whenever I was a teenager, that was the cool thing to do, is go on a Friday night, go shopping to Walmart, and then go back home and hang out with your friends. So it was a small town. Yeah, we didn't have a lot.
So what I was going to ask about that is, you said you want to expand access to healthcare to kind of geographically isolated folks. Are you planning on working in rural medicine for most of your career?
I would like to, yes. Especially now that I personally, I don't have any kids. I don't have any commitment to make me stay in a big city like the DFW area. So that is a goal of mine, is to, practice in isolated, underserved communities. West Texas would be a great place for me to do that because it's still in my home state, or if I get the opportunity to move to any other states. I actually got the opportunity to go to Costa Rica on a medical mission trip, and there we practiced in a small town our main population of patients were refugees from Nicaragua, and the country of Costa Rica allows the Nicaraguans to stay in their country because of how well they help their economy. But that means that they don't have a lot financially, and they don't have the best knowledge for health education and medical resources. So whenever I went on that trip, that really drove my passion to help underserved communities, because I realized the impact that we have as providers and even as volunteers.
Mm-hmm. And so in your experience as a physical therapy tech, as a phlebotomist, or even on that mission trip that we just discussed, can you tell me about a time when you had to deal with a difficult patient?
Yes. So specifically in physical therapy, I come across patients of all different ages, different mental capacities also. I had a patient who was pretty severely autistic, And not that they're a difficult patient, it's just you have to think outside of the box on how to work with them. This patient had emotional distress sometimes. You never really knew how they were going to come in and if they were going to want to do their exercises. So whenever I got the opportunity to work with this patient, I really tried to learn a little bit more about them so that I can create extrinsic motivation for them to complete their exercises. This patient loved NSYNC. So I made sure that I had access to our stereo so that I could play songs while we did her exercises and just keep her motivated. Also, you have to be comfortable with how our patients interact with us. This patient really loved physical touch and hugs and everything. So I made sure to keep my boundaries to keep me safe, but also to make my patient comfortable. And I think it's really important because we may, like in the hospital, I also came across dementia patients. So it's really just trying to learn how to navigate and adapt to your environment to make them comfortable and get whatever you may need to get done.
All right, very good. Next question. So going to your transcripts and your application, upon reviewing your application, one concern that I honestly do have is regarding your GRE scores. So it looks like you took it 3 times and the scores remain kind of in the lower percentiles. Do you struggle with standardized testing?
I do, and that is something that I am trying to improve. Even in high school with my SAT scores, and at least in Texas, we have to take this test called the TSI before we go to college or university. I had to redo those tests about 3 times. And my last time taking the GRE, I spent a pretty penny on this prep course and everything, and that's what really helped me improve my score. But I do get that test anxiety and I struggle with standardized tests. The reason I don't think that this will be a problem for me once I'm in a PA program is because our tests are more generalized into a specific subject or topic. When it came to the GRE, it was information that was either from late high school or early college, and I just don't do amazing with that information. So with other classes on my transcript, like pharmacology, pathophysiology, when it's really those specified topics, then that's whenever I succeed and do a lot better than on standardized tests that's with all different topics.
Can you expand a little bit on what you mean on general topics versus specified topics? So for instance, I mean, to be completely square with you, the PANCE, the Physician Assistant National Certifying Exam, yes, it is mostly medical based. However, it's throughout your entire education. It's compiling all the topics you learned in those 2 years. It's a tremendously difficult exam with a lot of questions in a short amount of time, an average of 60 seconds per question. How do you think you would fare on an exam like that?
I think I'll be prepared for at least the PANCE. I'm really confident in the programs that I'm applying to help me get to where I need to get to in order to pass and be a great provider. And the only reason that I said that it's different for me for these specific topic classes. Whenever I study, I dive into what is either on the lecture or what chapter we had to read on. Whenever it came to studying for the GRE, I was studying a whole wide spectrum of different math subjects, and math is just one thing that is my weakness. It's not my strong suit. I'm very good at literature and writing and those types of aspects. So I do feel like I'm confident in being able to be successful on the PANCE. It's just something about the standardized test I just didn't do too great on, but I don't let that affect my confidence in my ability to be successful throughout PA school and passing the PANCE.
And then just kind of staying on your transcript and your application. So reviewing it, I see, mostly B's, a few A's, a couple of C's, some in just kind of random classes, but 2 in your prereqs. So anatomy and physiology 1 and general chemistry 1. Why were those courses difficult for you?
So specifically for anatomy and physiology 1, that was whenever the COVID lockdown happened. So we started out spring semester in person, and then everything quickly changed to online. And I had taken a few online classes in high school, but it wasn't at the volume and the speed of what A&P was for me at my university. So along with that, just going online and with the COVID times, I will take full accountability that I was not studying the way I was supposed to. And I learned very quickly on my first exam at home that that wasn't going to cut it. And with that test grade that I made, it was just too late for me to bring up my grade. So what I did is last summer in 2023, I ended up retaking A&P 1 because I didn't want that grade to define who I was. I ended up passing with an A, and I did a lot better. I improved my study habits. In addition to, I think it was Chem 1 that I got a C in, that was also, I'm taking accountability. I took that class as a Maymester. So I had only about 4 weeks to get that course done. It was too fast for me. I learned that very quickly. So I ended up passing, which I'm very thankful for. But for future courses, I decided that I'm going to take the full length of the course and not just try to get a pre-req done so that I can apply to PA school faster. So those were the 2 C's that I do have, but I did retake 1. If I didn't get into PA school this cycle, then I planned on retaking Chem 1 and then just taking other courses that I can take to improve that GPA.
All right. And so what about the condensed format made it difficult for you? Was it just the amount of information in the short time, or what else was it?
Yes, the amount of information in the short time, and with it being chemistry. Chemistry was one of those courses that I struggled with a little more rather than my biology and my anatomy courses. So just between those two, I struggled a little bit. And then chemistry also has the math aspect of it, of balancing the equations and everything. So I struggled with that a little bit. I ended up getting it down because I did get an A in Organic Chemistry 1, which is something I'm very, very proud of. So it's that too. I want to show that, yeah, I might have gotten not a great score on this prerequisite, but I grew and I improved my study habits. And now with these upper level courses that are quite harder, I succeeded. So I try not to let these C's on my transcript define me, because it might have just been a hard time or I wasn't doing the best I could have been doing. So I try to take those into account.
So do you think you're ready for PA school?
I do think I'm ready for PA school. I improved my study habits a lot. I used to just rewrite my professor's PowerPoint slides, and I realized that wasted a lot of time. So once I started taking the upper level courses and was trying to navigate on how to study better, I learned how to annotate on my iPad, and that saved a lot of time and efficiency. I also love doing flashcards like Quizlets, recall memory whenever I'm reading a certain topic. I also learned that I love learning in groups. Specifically, I love teaching in groups. Whenever I get to teach my classmate or someone a little bit about a subject or a chapter, that really means that I understood the chapter and really gained a grasp of it. So I improved my study habits. So I think I know I'll be ready for the PA program.
Very good. And why do you think you're a good fit for this particular program?
I think I'm a good fit for quite a few reasons, specifically my background within my culture. So I talked about this a lot in my personal statement. I struggled growing up Mexican American because I didn't feel like I fit into a certain mold. And as I grew within the healthcare field, I learned that that should be used to my advantage, because I can connect with certain groups of people of different cultures. And that's a good thing. Specifically, I'm bilingual in Spanish. I'm not totally fluent, but that is something I'm getting better at. And that makes such a difference. With my own family that I've gone to doctor's appointments with, I understand the language barriers that come at medical appointments. So if I can be that provider or that person for the patient so that they feel a little bit more comfortable at their visit, then that's really important to me. I hope whenever I'm in the program to help my classmates learn basic sentences of Spanish. at my physical therapy job, I created a whole Google Doc sheet of the basic body parts that we see, basic instructions, and different equipment that we have, so that my other coworkers who might not know anything of Spanish, they can practice too, because it just makes the biggest difference with our patients and making them feel comfortable. In addition, I have a lot of patient care experience in different patient care settings. I started out as a pharmacy technician, so whenever I took pharmacology, that really helped because it was everything that I was seeing every day. And then I became a physical therapy tech and then also an inpatient phlebotomist. So once it comes time to learning skill checks, specifically venipuncture, I hope to help my other classmates because it's a skill that is a little hard to learn, but I feel confident in my skills of drawing blood, so I hope to help my other classmates through that as well. And besides those two things, I just say that my personality is great for this program. I'm very optimistic, encouraging, and motivating. I was a cheerleader all my life from 4 years old to 18 years old. I didn't do it in college due to financial reasons, but I have been there to cheer other people through the good times and bad times throughout all my life. And once I stopped being a cheerleader on the sidelines, I had to learn how to be a cheerleader for myself. I've been helping other people get through good and bad times, and it was time for me to do that for myself in my pursuit of becoming a PA. So I just hope whenever I'm in the PA program that I can be just a motivator for me and our other students, because it's going to be long and PA school is going to be hard. But as long as we stick together and stay motivated, then we'll definitely get through it.
I'm sure every class could certainly use a cheerleader.
Yeah.
100% right, just to keep the vibe up. I did have one question about you being initially a nursing major, because I saw a lot of nursing questions, but then I read your essay and you said you kind of switched to an exercise science major. What made you do that?
So whenever I was a pre-nursing major, I had actually before then switched different specialties. I guess you can say that I wanted to do, I wanted to be a pharmacist, and then it went to optometrist, and then it went to nursing. I was just jumping to different healthcare professions because I didn't feel like I found one that truly fit me. And whenever I decided to pursue the pre-nursing major, I just felt like something wasn't right. I didn't feel 100% committed. And as I was getting more into the pre-nursing major, I knew a change needed to happen. The last thing that I wanted to do was go into nursing school and take someone's spot who either wanted it way more than me or was way more passionate about it than me. Specifically, the nursing role, I just didn't feel like fit with what I wanted. I wanted a little more autonomy and say within the patient's plan of care, and not to say that I hate nurses or anything. I love them. I respect them. I think they should deserve way more recognition than they should. But for me, I just didn't feel like that was the right role for me within healthcare. And whenever I came across the PA profession, I actually came across someone on TikTok. They talked about their responsibilities, their education, and their role within the healthcare system. And that really resonated with me. I immediately envisioned myself as a PA. I started shadowing a PA just to make sure that the switch from the pre-nursing major to the kinesiology major would be right for me. And ultimately, I'm so happy that I did that.
Very good. Could you define success?
Define success. Okay, I'm gonna need a little minute for that one. So to me, defining success means putting your best foot forward. And that doesn't mean having to win or be at the top specifically. This one got me. Let me see. We might have to come back to that one. That one was a good one.
Final answer?
Let's see. So to me, I would say that success is success doesn't have to mean winning or being at the top. I think as long as you put your best foot forward and put all of your efforts in to get whatever you need to get done, then that makes you successful. And I want to give just a little example. So me getting the C's in the classes that I did, that wasn't great, I have to admit. But I kept pushing forward and I never let my resilience go down. And now I'm here as a pre-PA student about to interview with a PA school. And I believe that is just successful in itself. I didn't get the highest grade in my class and I almost failed, but I kept my resilience, I kept my motivation to get to where I am now. So as long as you put all your best foot forward and all the effort that you can, then I think that makes you a successful person.
Can you tell me about a time when you were criticized unfairly?
Yes, so whenever at my time at the hospital, I was only there for a short time, but I learned a lot. So I was newly put onto the team. I want to say I had only been working there as a phlebotomist maybe for 2 weeks. And I was pretty successful, but I still didn't feel fully confident to be alone working on the floors by myself, just because sometimes I came across hard sticks and I didn't have all the knowledge that the phlebotomists that had been there for quite a few years, they could do them quickly, and I just wasn't on their speed yet. And it was time, I was working with another phlebotomist, and she felt like that I was ready to be alone by myself and have a full patient load, which I didn't feel 100% comfortable with. She said that I was ready and I'd be fine and that I needed to be alone. And I think it's just because she was stressed and she didn't want to help me anymore. So I believe that she didn't necessarily criticize me in a bad way, but she put me in a position where I didn't feel fully comfortable on being alone. So I ended up going to our supervisor and just sharing my thoughts about what was going on. And my supervisor was able to help me get more help with that. But I needed to talk to someone because I didn't feel like that was fully fair. And I ended up going to my coworker who wanted me to work alone and be fully on my own. And I told her, I don't feel 100% comfortable yet. I'm barely my second week in, and I'm going to need either a little more help or support from you, or I can start working with someone else that doesn't mind being on the floors with me until I fully get the speed down. So that was a time. I think just having communication with her and with my supervisor, she ended up apologizing. She said she was just overly stressed and wanted to, get other floors done and other patients done. And that's where that came from. But I personally didn't feel comfortable and ready to be doing everything on my own. So I just made sure to go to my supervisor and communicate that.
I have not learned about you yet. So we have the second to last question. It's a scenario question.
Okay.
So you're a physician assistant working at a practice, and you have a 20-year-old patient with Down syndrome who has become pregnant. The patient does not want an abortion. The patient's mother and father do want the patient to have an abortion. What do you do as the provider taking care of this patient?
So the first thing that I would do is try to gather a little more information from the parent specifically. I am not too familiar on how the medical care is whenever we come across patients with disabilities, like if there's a power of attorney, if the patients are still allowed to make decisions, since if the parents can still make the decisions for the patient, since they might not have the mental capacity to do so, to make their own decisions. So I would go to the patient or to the parents first and figure out what the situation is with that. And I would, I would probably also go to my collaborating physician, see if they've had any interactions like this or have any additional knowledge. There is, I want to say, a website called Up to Date. Whenever I shout out a PA, you can put a specific question and they have more information to go about this. So I personally have not seen this in person, but I would just try to gather as much information and weigh out the pros and the cons. Is the patient going to be able to provide for this child, and do they have the mental capacity to provide for this child and keep them safe? And yeah, so I think I would need to gather more information on how to go about that and gauge that situation.
Okay. So let's say that you do your research, you talk to your supervising provider, you talk to the parents, and you find out that in the state that you are living in, the patient has all the say in this case, does not have any specific verbiage or guidance for Down syndrome. The patient has full say. Now, what do you do?
So ultimately, as a PA, you have to put your own biases aside and respect the patient's wishes. From my point of view, I don't know if the patient would be able to care for the child and if the grandparents or whoever would even want to take care of the child if the patient ends up having it. But I have to respect my patient's wishes. The most I can do is give them more information about programs that can help special needs parents if they have a child, or if they want adoption papers, or just giving them as much resources as I can. I have to be there for my patient and keep them healthy and keep the baby healthy. So if that is what the patient wants to do, then I have to kind of respect their wishes and keep their best interest at heart.
And lastly, and this is me saying this as the interviewers from Texas Tech, not as me, do you have any questions for us?
Yes, I do. So I actually seen that quite a few of your faculty graduated from the Texas Tech PA program. I wanted to ask, what are some of the things you're most proud of that you have seen Texas Tech accomplish since graduating?
Okay, and the formal interview portion is over.
Yay. I know. That wasn't too bad, but you got me with that define success. Mm-hmm. I had to define professionalism once, and that one was a little hard too, so I will definitely practice those more often.
Are you good at speaking off the cuff about literally any topic?
Certain stuff, yes. Like when it comes to my patient care and just experiences, yes. But whenever you have to define a word or stuff like that, then that's where I struggle with.
You know the game I Spy?
Yes.
Have you ever played that?
Yes.
Play that with your friends, with your parents, with yourself in the car. Maybe not in the car if you're driving, but play that with yourself, but take it a step further and give like a 1-minute monologue on any random thing.
Okay.
As often as possible.
Okay, that's good.
So for instance, right now, I spy some green leaves. Why are they green? Oh, because of chlorophyll. It's this protein that, I don't even know if it's a protein. Doesn't matter. And stay like engaged, stay lively. It helps them breathe. It helps them make ATP. ATP is the powerhouse of the cell, or whatever the hell it was. You know, just talk. And then you'll get more, just better at like making it actually make sense. And then bringing out your own experiences. Like those connections will be made, but at first it's just going to be gibberish like that just was.
Yeah.
You know, so get good at that, because what you definitely don't want to do is say, ooh, that was a good one. You got me with that one. We're going to have to come back. And as the interviewer, I'm like, no, we don't.
Yeah.
You don't have to go back to anything. Like, okay, is that your response? Moving on, you know? So if it's, you know, like a grade sheet they get, which usually it is, it's like rate this response 1 out of 5, that would be a 0.
Right.
And they average those and that really dings you. So the last thing you ever want to do is say nothing or say, I'm not going to answer that.
Right. Yeah, I wanted to answer, and then I just knew whatever I was saying, like I try to make it make sense and have a flow of it needs to lead to something. So yeah. I was struggling with that one. I try to, whenever I speak or do my responses, I may seem like I'm yapping a lot, but I try to say a specific example and how it either can connect back to PA school or being a better provider. So I hope my responses weren't too all over the place, but that
No, I
one
don't
was
think so. I think your responses were very well like planned out and formulated, and I can tell you practiced and you're very like well spoken. The one issue with that is when you get hit with something super random, you're not going
yes.
to have everything planned and rehearsed because you just can't.
Mhm.
So if anything, you're going to practice is going to be that.
Okay.
Getting hit with something totally from left field, making a good response, and just sticking with it, even if it's not perfect.
Okay.
You
I'll
know,
work on that.
Yep. Have your friend, whoever you're practicing with, just keep asking you the most ridiculous possible questions, and you have to stay composed and just keep going
Yeah.
because it's just going to happen. And you don't want a 0 out of 5 response.
Yeah.
You got to say something, even if you go, man, that's a hard question. I don't know, success. And then you say something that's at least a 1 out of 5.
Okay.
Anything's better than that 0. Don't just freeze up and just give up.
Okay.
Okay. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Okay. So I was just going to go through these kind of one by one quickly, and that was basically my feedback for that one. But before we do that, any remarks? How did you feel? Anything you want to ask me?
I feel like I did good. One thing that I do struggle with, especially when I get nervous, is sometimes I stutter or I forget the word that I was wanting to say. So I believe I was talking a little fast. I kind of felt it. So I'm going to try to work on really articulating my thoughts and my words just so I don't get caught up in the little mistakes that I say. But hopefully it wasn't too bad.
I don't think so. You spoke slowly and clearly enough to where I understood what you said and was also able to write down what you said and feedback. So
Okay.
it couldn't be that fast. I also talk really, really, really fast. So for me, it was comfortable. Maybe for some people, it's not. But yeah, slowing down even like 10% is never a bad idea.
Okay. And then how did you feel like personality wise? Because my interview is going to be virtual. So I know it's just kind of hard to gauge through the screen of being personable and being charismatic enough. How did you feel that was? Like, do I need to smile more, talk with my hands more, be a little more?
I would say, honestly, and this is not me like just blowing smoke up your butt or whatever, I'd say like 10 out of 10 or damn close to 10 out of 10.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Very pleasant, very engaging, smiley, but not awkwardly. I think that was quite good overall.
Okay.
Your setting is a little interesting. You have a mirror behind you, and then it's all just white.
Yeah, I'm in my kitchen. This is I'm in my dining room, so
Yeah.
there's not a lot. Because if not, I'll kind of show you. My kitchen is green. I have green cabinets.
I like
And
more.
yeah, and then to my side, I have my living room. So this was the best area that wasn't too distracting. Right in front of me, I'm right in front of a window. So you might see trees behind me. So I feel like this was the best area to do it.
Can you
But
move to the side just a little bit? Like, what if that mirror and everything was in frame? Like, what if your body was like 2 feet left?
I can maybe.
You know what I mean?
Hold on. Worst comes to worst, I can take down the mirror for the interview.
No, I think it's fine. I think it's okay. As long as, the daylight on your face, that's the best. Because then, you look the best. If there's something super distracting behind you, maybe not. But if it's something like just bland, but it's something else, it kind of helps you. Like it helps me just like to look at something else besides just you.
Right.
I don't know. That's very nitpicky. But as long as your connection is good, everything's clean, you're dressed professionally, that's all that matters. So this is fine.
Okay.
Also, when somebody was walking by and it sounded like this, I'd probably avoid that.
Okay.
But you can't. So no, that's fine.
Okay. And then one more thing. So whenever you were asking the questions, I look at you on the screen and then
Sure.
I do my responses in the camera. Did that look fine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine. As long as, you put the window on your screen right under your camera.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Or at the very least midline. So like my face is over here on my screen, but you're right in front of me. So I'm looking at your face, not at the camera. Does it look like I'm looking at you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. Okay.
Yeah, like in the midline, not all the way down, but like by the camera. That's all you need.
Okay. Yeah. Because right now you're off to my left a little bit. So I hope it was at least fine whenever you were asking questions, and then whenever I gave my response.
If I were you, I would put their face as center as possible and just look at their face.
Okay.
Yeah, that's totally fine. That all is 10 out of 10 for you. You're good.
Okay.
Cool.
Sounds great.
All right, let's share my screen. Yes, my entire screen. Cool. All right, Miss Jasenia, mock interview. And did you get this document from my website?
Yes, I did. It was very helpful. I watched all your videos. I really liked the videos where you got to interview different directors from the different PA programs just to hear what they're looking for in students. So that was really helpful. And I watch your TikTok videos of the other mock interviews that you do. It's all very helpful for us.
Good, I appreciate it. And I've got like a backlog of so much stuff that's on YouTube that like nobody's seen that I'm now working on reformatting for TikTok. So there's going to be just endless content.
Keep it coming.
Hey, thank you. That's how I'm finding you guys, and I'm glad I'm able to help because everyone's on TikTok. No one's on YouTube anymore.
Yeah.
So you watched the one with the Rutgers lady and also with the Lemoyne one?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, that one's really good. And the mock interviews. Actually, let's share this screen. Entire screen. Yep, there we go. Cool. So this document, which is available to everybody for free, it's just all the different stuff. You said that you have a group interview, so the group interview resources is good. I've talked about the group interview a lot on TikTok lately. Basically, just choose one of those 4 things to do, and you're good. It's pretty simple. MMI and any scenario question, which a lot of times a group interview might have, the whole thinking out loud situation, gather more information, restate the problem, give a couple of different possibilities, and then say why you're choosing the possibility. That's literally all you have to do. Overall feedback, I think I just told you, were very well composed. Everything seemed pretty good. You could have probably benefited from a little bit more specific examples in some areas. And that really don't freeze up and just kind of give up on a question. But overall, I'd say quite good. Let's see here. So tell me about yourself and why you want to be a PA. You always get some version of this. Growing up in a small town, limited access to healthcare. Very, very good. The one thing here, so overall, I really like this response, especially after the follow-on question, like, do you want to practice in these underserved communities? You said yes. So I probably would have added that to your initial response.
Okay.
Right? So anytime I ask a follow-on, it's something I wish you would have just said already without maybe having to prod you for it. So if you kind of added to this and said, and I would definitely love to practice in West Texas, in this town, in whatever specifics. It's like, it shows that you've actually thought about it. You know? So definitely like that. This, I don't know if there was a lag or like it seemed like I was taking too long and you thought it was okay to like interrupt with the Walmart statement, but I would not have done that.
Okay.
I was like trying to ask a question and I probably got lost in trying to ask it, and you may have thought that I was done, but I wasn't. So just kind of be mindful of stuff like that. The Walmart is funny, obviously, but while they're trying to ask a question, don't interrupt them. But yeah, overall, very, very good response.
Thank you.
Yes. Tell me about a difficult patient. This goes for any time you have anything negative. So tell me about a time you struggled, you had a difficult patient, you were unfairly criticized, like the other question. Basically, try to be as empathetic to the person doing the negative thing and as positive about yourself. So this response, I thought, was as close to 10 out of 10 as it gets.
Thank you.
Gave an example. You're welcome. The instinct thing, the personal touch thing, like the physical touch, you really responded to hugs, but also minding my professional boundaries. This was like nothing else could have really made this response much better. So I really, really appreciated this one. And then you also said she wasn't really difficult, but like does add extra challenges, making you think outside the box. That was a very good, I would say, like political response. You kind of answered the question you wanted to instead of the question that was asked. So the question was phrased like the classic political question: when did you stop beating your wife? Like, there's no good answer to that.
Yeah.
Right? So you basically took a question like that and made it, well, you know, it's terrible that people are battered, and I would never do something like that. And I donate to women's shelters. Like, that's the classic answer, Bill Clinton, right? So you basically did that, which is excellent. You have a question that just by its definition, if you answer it, it makes you look bad, and you make it you turn it a little bit to make it a good question. That's excellent. So basically the question you answered was not when you had to deal with a difficult patient, but when you had to think outside the box with the patient, which is a much better question. Right? So you did that naturally, which is very, very, very good.
Thank you.
And the only reason I'm harping on this is as an example, because we're going to post this feedback. She did an excellent exemplary job with something like this. So definitely good, 10 out of 10. This one I didn't actually ask you. This is kind of another scenario question, a very classic one. You find out, a friend of yours is cheating. What do you do? And that's just a scenario where you think out loud and do that whole thing. So one concern about your GRE scores, there isn't a great answer to this because none of them really got to the point where they were really, really good. And I prepared for this one because you're very positive about it. You're giving like overwhelming evidence that you are capable academically. In this case, I probably would have given more specific examples.
Okay.
And specifically said, obviously I, from your perspective, understand your concern. If I struggled in standardized tests, how will I do in PA school exams? And of course the PANCE, which is crucial to pass. But I think that comparing the GRE to the PANCE is not really fair. I think it's more fair to compare it to like my final exam in anatomy or my final exam in genetics, because it's a biological based, very difficult exam. And here's how I prepared. And here was the result. I got an A. So I don't see any reason for, if I got an A in the same semester in genetics and this and that I would have too much difficulty on the PANCE or in PA school.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good example.
Yeah. That's probably the best way to answer that.
Okay.
Because your grades were good. You had solid grades. You had very hard courses with solid grades. I would have brought that up.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
And then, the math thing, I don't know. I guess you could mention it. Like higher level math is hard for you because that's not really in a PA school curriculum. You could even say, I looked at your curriculum online first and second semester of didactic year, and I did see some statistics, which I did well in, and I saw some research, but I didn't see like calculus. I didn't see very high level organic chemistry, or I didn't see math or whatever. And so I have a record of doing well in the things that are in your curriculum, and the things that are not, I honestly did struggle, and I'm glad that I get to focus on patient care. I get to focus on biology and this kind of thing, my strong suits, and I'm choosing a profession where I don't have to focus so much on math. Maybe that would have been a slightly better response.
Okay.
But there's no perfect response here. The GRE scores are what they are.
Yeah, I'm expecting to get it just because of my score, and I'm seeing that more programs are starting to implement the PA CAT. And I'm very interested to see how I would do on that standardized test. And that's just kind of my argument. Like pretty much everyone who's going to a graduate program has to take the GRE. So I almost feel like, life isn't fair. It's not fair that I have to take it and I'm not doing great in it. Like what if it was like pre-nursing majors who have to take the TEAS exam? Like it should be catered to the classes that we have been taking the last 4 years. Yeah, no, not at all. But
I wouldn't say
I'm excited to hear that, and those are some good examples for sure.
Yeah. Also, a lot of programs don't take the GRE, so maybe applying to those programs wouldn't have been a bad idea. Actually, maybe still applying to those programs would not be a bad idea.
Yes, I applied to 22 programs this semester. I've heard back from 4 so far, 1 rejection, but it's going pretty good. Definitely a lot better than last cycle.
Well, and a lot of programs are non-rolling, so they'll collect all their applications in like the fall. So you may get like a flood of interview invites at that time that you have not yet received.
Yeah. So they're starting to come in.
Good. I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so, the GRE thing, so for some programs, it doesn't even matter. But in this case, no, I would not say it's unfair that we have to take it.
Yeah, for sure. No. This is stuff I say to my family.
Yeah. But having like a very well formulated, specific answer, like we just discussed, I did well in this, and this, which I believe simulates PA school curriculum and the PANCE. That's where I would kind of stick to.
Okay.
Yeah, because you did, and that's true. So that's good answer overall. That's just how I would slightly improve it. Okay, so we are here, prepared for the PANCE. There we go. We talked about Gen Chem, and we talked about anatomy and physiology. Any little weak spot or any inconsistency they're going to try to pick at. So that's kind of one of them, especially in prerequisite courses. And then this that you mentioned, one of them was a 4-week Maymester, and I struggled with a condensed time frame. I probably would stay away from because all of PA school is a condensed time frame.
Okay.
It's essentially just a whole year of condensed time frame. So I would find a better way to say that, mainly the way you said, just being humble. Like, look, I just didn't study as well as I should have. I wasn't in class being my professor every day. And, I'm very motivated by people. So the online format was difficult for me. And I just realized that I didn't work as hard as I needed to. And now I also realize that for whatever reason we go online, that is something that I need to make certain I put in the effort for.
Okay.
Pandemic 2.0, if it happens. Basically, any kind of academic questions, they're just trying to gain confidence in your ability to not fail out of the program. So give us that confidence.
Okay.
So yeah, I would not have talked about the condensed situation as much, but I take full accountability. That was excellent. I ended up getting an A when I retook A and P. That was excellent. And then you said you got an A in a much higher level chemistry course, which is excellent. I do like that you said specifically like active recall, note cards, that kind of thing. I may have even gone into depth even more with that. Like, for instance, making simple note cards, just like one fact around each. And then when I started doing that, I had 500 note cards for an exam instead of 200, but it was much more digestible. And every moment that I got, I pulled out my phone and did my Quizlets, and that made success in this harder course. And that's what I'm going to do in PA school.
Okay.
See what I'm saying? It comes full circle, specific how you did it and how it's going to apply to PA school.
Okay.
Fair?
Yes, sir.
Good. And yeah, this was it was a follow-on question. Like, what made you struggle? And that's when you pulled out that good thing about the higher level course. I wish you would have just said that in the beginning.
Okay.
Cool. You think you're ready? Or I'm sorry, did you say something?
No.
Okay. Do you think you're ready? Yes, I improved my study habits. This is when you kind of got to talking about this. So will you get 2 questions, one about the lower grades and one about are you ready? Probably not. So I'd probably just have a comprehensive answer for all that, including these things that you implemented and exactly specifically how. I really, really like that you were specific about teaching.
Okay.
Like, group learning is good. Okay, that's a good answer. Group learning is good because when I really taught people, I felt I had a good grasp on it. Much better answer. Right?
Yes.
And then maybe even more specifically, like this one time in OChem, blah, 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 blah. That would have been cool. But overall, very good. Let's see here. That was that. Why do you think you're a good fit for this program? I really, really liked a lot of your responses. All of your past experiences. I'm going to teach people Spanish. I'm going to teach people to do venipuncture, if I even said that right, which I suck at. I never do it as a PA. I was a cheerleader. Everybody needs a positive energy in the program. Like, this was fantastic. The only possible thing I would have added, you're welcome, is the school's mission and values.
Okay.
So on the one hand, you answered the question 10 out of 10. On the other hand, reading between the lines, why are they even asking you this question? Except for wanting you to answer it is to see if maybe you did some research on the school.
Okay.
So your interviewing is very, very good. Your examples are very good. The one thing I would communicate a little bit more is your interest in that specific program, which means going to their website, memorizing some of their mission and values, and talking about how those are important to you.
Okay.
So that's something I would do. Basically, your 2 things you're trying to do with every question is find an excuse to give an example of how you are good and how that will apply to your success, and also that you care about this program and you research this program specifically. You do those 2 things, you're good.
Okay.
And don't freeze up on a question, but
yes.
That's so yeah, I'd say mission and values, whatever, from their website takes a little bit of digging and memorizing. I would do some of that. This one made sense if you actually read the essay, which I did, but I wrote this question before I read your essay, so that's why I was asking about the nursing situation. But this was good. You kind of tied it back to, you wanting to be a PA. You were very empathetic to people who wanted to be nurses. So yeah, very good question. Define success. I'm going to need a minute. To me, success is putting red fist forward. This one got me. Let me see. We might have to come back to it.
Sorry.
Don't do that. That's the only thing I can say. Just kind of learn how to speak off the cuff a little bit better. When you were unfairly criticized, this is basically trying to get you to blame someone and be negative. This was good. You overall did quite good. I would have tried just a little bit more to not blame the person even more, just make it a total like empathetic, super positive vibe about the person that was the kind of antagonist here.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, you did very, very good. I would have just been extra empathetic. Like, she wanted me to be on the floor by myself. I didn't feel like I was ready. I didn't feel like that was safe for patients. And I didn't want to get myself in a situation where people were counting on me, perhaps even in an emergency situation, and I wasn't ready. And I totally get it. She was very stressed. She had a lot of preceptees, plus she was doing her shifts, plus this. She was overwhelmed, which wasn't really fair to her, but I also didn't want to compromise patient safety. So I ended up talking to her and the supervisor, and we got me some more training. That's all I would have said.
Okay.
I would not have stuck to talk as much about the person, like making you feel uncomfortable.
Okay.
Minimize that, maximize the good things that you did. Let's see. 20-year-old. So this is a classic, very, very classic question. If you get like 100 MMI questions or scenario questions, you're going to see something like this. You're going to see the person cheating. You're going to see just simple stuff like this where there is no answer. So that's where you do the 4-step process, gather more information, restate the question, gather more information, ask the interviewer perhaps, and then the options that you have, and then you do have to pick a side.
Okay.
And describe why. This was a really good one. Do you have any questions for us? They're probably going to give you a moment to ask them some questions. Mm-hmm. What if faculty graduated from this program? If you're certain that the person that you're talking to was one of those people, yeah, that's a good question. If you're not, I don't know if I would ask it because you're not certain that that person did graduate from this program. So that's 1. 2, it was kind of vague. What are you most proud of seeing Texas Tech since graduating? I'd probably be more specific. Like, since you graduated or in the last few years, that would be even easier to not assume that and just say in the last few years, has this program, grown in size? Have they had more facilities? Are there new programs? Are there study abroad opportunities, new rotations? Like, what are you most excited about this program accomplishing in the last few years?
Okay.
So that's a really, really good one. And then maybe even asking them a personal one, which you kind of tried to do here, but I would say like something more personal. Like I'm very passionate about mentoring. I would love to maybe be a faculty member at one point. What made you decide to be a faculty member instead of practicing full time? And then let them talk.
Okay.
If they're talking, they're happy.
Yeah, luckily they have their faculty on their website. So they have like a little bio. Good. So I did write down the specific people who went there, and they have a picture. So I'm hoping if I come across them, then I'll ask that. And if not, I really liked one of the examples that you had in one of your videos. I think it was, what are some things that past students have said they wish they would have done before preparing for didactic year? I really like how you're envisioning yourself as a student there. So I plan on asking that one as well.
Yep. Maybe not in those exact words, but that's a very, very good one. Another play on that is, what are some characteristics of successful students? What are their study methods? Do they stay up until midnight every night, or are they like more regulated where they study for 2 hours before leaving the room and then they have a good dinner? Like what do students that have been very successful and did not struggle, what do they tell you they do? Because I want to emulate that and be one of those students.
Okay.
Yeah, same question, essentially, same answer, but that's a good one that a lot of people would not ask.
Okay.
But my guidance to literally everybody, you included, is specific.
Okay.
Not what has this program done in the last few years that you like. Like, what is something specifically that they did in the last 3 years? What did they implement? What did these people do? That kind of thing.
Okay.
What do you think? Do you feel like you're ready?
I do believe that I'm ready. This definitely helped calm my nerves down. I know I needed to do it. I was nervous all morning, but good. I think practicing, and I've been interview prepping for the last 2 weeks, just thinking of different scenarios and not necessarily making up a script, but just story banks, having examples ready for these different questions that I got. So I do think I have a little improvement to do, like especially in my vocabulary. When they ask me, do you think you're ready for PA school? I don't need to say, I think I'm ready. No, I believe that I'm ready. Like, be very strong and confident. I don't know if that comes into play at all, but
Yeah. I mean, word choice, I guess it's minor as long as you communicate that you're comfortable. But yeah, you're right. That would be good. Story banks. I really like that you just mentioned that. Just having like not a memorized answer to every question, but having a bank of stories that you could bring up to any question.
mhm.
So that would be good. And also just kind of speaking more off the cuff. That's one thing that'll avoid getting stuck.
Yes, that is one thing I'm gonna work on. But this whole mock interview was amazing, and I'm really appreciative of your time and wanting to help us pre-PA students.
Absolutely. You're very, very welcome. And also thank you for allowing me to use this.
Yes, of course.
After this application cycle, of course. It won't be now because, again, if a faculty member watches this, they'll be like, oh, she got help. That's not fair.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that probably next cycle. Did you want me to blur your name and or your face, or are you comfortable with that?
I'm comfortable with everything.
You're going to be just like Tiffany and Grace.
Yes.
And, I've got so many of these that I'm just going to be posting now because they're so helpful. So good. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, no problem.
And yeah, that's what we'll do. If you have any questions or just successes, like, hey, I got in, by the way, let me know. Otherwise, good luck.
Thank you so much. I hope your back feels better.
Oh my God, it's the worst. I'm going to stop recording actually right now.